Hello, and welcome to episode 2. Are you ready to find out how to put together the template? If so, stay tuned, because I'm about to show you how to do that. Hey, I'm Lizzie, and this is Killer Kitsch Lizzie, and as the intro said, I'm gonna show you how to put together your template and use that template to make your pattern block. So, just because, in case you're curious, this is the template, and there's the other side, and oh, upside down. These are your pattern blocks. So this is what we're going to talk about and tackle in today's episode. As I've mentioned, I'm going to do this, break it up into a bunch of episodes because I don't want to overwhelm anyone with information. I personally learn faster if I learn things in little bits. So that's what we're going to be doing. So today, as I said, is going to be doing the template, doing the pattern blocks. If you have time, go back and watch the first video because I do explain to you all the things you're going to need. Also, there's a little bit of a history lesson about, the origins of Haslam. It's a little snippet. It is very interesting. You should go back there and watch that, but I'm not going to leave you hanging. If you have not gone back and watched that video, or you don't have time, I'm still going to tell you right now what you're going to need to make the pieces that these important pieces that are going to get you started. So you're going to need a couple of pieces of bristol board. That's what we call it here in Canada. I think it's called poster board everywhere else, or maybe that's what people call it here too. I don't know. I'm not judging you. Also, you're going to need some kind of tracing paper. This is a roll of tracing paper, which you could buy at any art store has it. I do find it is a bit expensive, so I don't use it as often. You can also get the one with the dots, which might be easier for you if you do prefer tracing paper. Lots of people use parchment paper as well. I use tissue paper, the kind that you buy at the dollar store that is for gift wrapping. And it actually works more like tissue paper from commercial sewing patterns. It is a little bit more fragile though, just so you know, if you have to do a lot of erasing. And this I tend to use, personally, when I'm making Haslam patterns. This is packing paper. Also very similar to butcher paper. A lot of people do use this for tracing out patterns. Drafting out patterns. If you're tracing a pattern, tracing paper and tissue paper might work better. You can still use these if that's what you have, but I tend to use the packing paper. It's a little sturdier because you're going to be drawing out on it with your template, right? Or with your pattern block, sorry. And the other things you're going to need for putting together your the template first, you're going to need glue. I personally use a glue stick, but like the white Elmer's glue, it works just as well. I just find it takes a while to dry. That's the only thing. And tape might make life a bit easier for you when you're actually connecting the pieces first, because how you're connecting them is just like a PDF sewing pattern, right? And most of the time people use tape to put them together. I know some people that use this. Either work. You're going to need paper scissors. Don't use your fabric scissors. Also hide your fabric scissors. I know a lot of people, their kids and their husbands will go hunting in their sewing box, hide them. Well, my husband doesn't do that. Now for me, when I'm drafting the pattern block, I find markers are very helpful. And when you're drafting your pattern pieces later, and also when you're drafting your pattern blocks as well, pencil and erasers, because you are going to be doing some erasing, I guarantee you, we all do it. And something I find that is incredibly, incredibly handy when you're making your template is an awl, because you're going to have to poke holes, which you're going to see shortly. You're going to have to poke holes into the Bristol board to mark your sizes. I'm going to be redoing my template just to show you how it's done. But I don't know if you can see it, but there's a hole right here. There's a bunch of holes poked out where my size is. So that's what the awl is going to come handy. If you don't have an awl, something that is sharp that you can poke a hole big enough to get your pencil through. That's fine. And the other things you're going to need, and again, I will link all of this down in the description below, the links for everything in case you can't go back to the other video, is you're going to have to buy these. Unfortunately, I don't have copies of them. So you are going to have to buy these. I have a whole bunch of links below for where to buy these, and I'm going to post all of those links below so that you have access to them. And what you're going to need is, sorry, as I was picking them up, they scattered everywhere. That's why I was looking down, anyways, you're going to need this is the template. Again, as I said, it's in pattern pieces. In pieces, so you're going to have to tape them together or glue them together onto the Bristol board in order to make the final template. And you're going to need, this is really important, you're going to need the Haslam System of Dresscutting Foundation Draftings with Instructions. Because in here are the template for putting your measurements, and you have to do the measurements as this says. Do not try to just put in your bust, your waist, and your hip and hope that's going to work. It is not. You need to put in a bunch of measurements. You need to put in what your standard dress size would be. Neck, shoulder, back of your length of your back, length of your front, hips, underarm, sleeve armhole, sleeve length, sleeve elbow, sleeve wrist, waist, hip, and once you have all of those, they're going to give you, you're doing math. You have to do some math. So it's going to tell you step by step, which I'm going to go through with you, don't worry. But it is going to go step by step on how to do the math to get to the final number that you're going to use on here to draft your pattern block. It is really important that you use this and don't make up your own. And also that you have, if you want to make a garment for a child, that's an option on here as well. There's also special notes for full figure, square shoulders, and stooping figures. So it is very helpful. And then the other part of this document is going step by step on how to make the pattern block. Again, we're going to go through all of that. Don't worry, I am not going to leave you hanging. And then there's a few other bits in here on how to do a basic dress and a basic coat. We're not going to do those. We're going to actually do a basic top that I have found. That is going to be our final project. So once you have those, then you could start doing the template and the pattern block with me. And the other thing, okay, so this is not mandatory. You don't have to do the top. If you already have your own patterns that you bought, Haslam patterns, and you want to do your own whatever garment, use that. Don't spend more money if you don't have to. I am on the hunt for actual books, and when I find my own books, sorry, gonna have to take some paper for a minute. When I do find my own books, I am gonna actually start using those for teaching Haslam as opposed to making people buy. Because I would love to be able to give this to you for free. I just, I can't right now. One day, I'm hoping. And so, if you're going to do the top with us, you need to buy, it is from the 1960s. All the links will be below. And this is called Illustrated Book of Draftings number 41. And it's for spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It also has some full figure garments in here. So let me just find the photo. I should have bookmarked this, but I did not. Sorry. I was trying to be so organized, and it's the one thing I didn't put a sticky note on. And of course, when you're trying to find the thing, oh, here we are. It's never easy. Yeah, so this is on page 20 of this booklet, and it's a basic top. It has a bit of a yoke. So when we get to the toile part, I will actually talk a little bit more about the kinds of fabrics that we're going to do. So this we'll come back around to this. We're not going to deal with this today. Today is only the template and the pattern block. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello. So for this part, the putting the template together part, you're going to need the template that you printed off, some kind of glue, an awl, tape, paper scissors, and a Bristol board, or some people call it poster board. And you're also going to need, well, personally, you don't have to have this, but some kind of cutting mat, or in a pinch, a folded up towel will also work. And you're going to need that part for when you're using the awl to punch your holes. You're going to need something underneath it so you're not ruining a table. So let's take these pieces, let's cut them out and tape them together, and then I will show you what to do on the poster board. Okay, so once you've taped all of it together, like you would a PDF pattern, you're going to have two pieces now. And so on my old one, here, I don't know why I did this, but when I made it the first time, I put it on one piece of Bristol board, which was not a smart idea, because when you poke the holes, they're going to come out in different positions on either side. And also having each of these pieces separate is so much easier when you're actually drafting the pattern block. So what you're going to do next is you're going to, now that you have this taped up, you're going to cut each of these out individually, right? So cut them out. And then when we come back, we're going to glue it down to the Bristol board. I should also add there are two spots when you're taping your sheets together that are not going to line up exactly 100% perfectly. They are very close, but they're not 100%. And that's here and here. The other thing you're going to want to keep in mind is when they were making the individual pieces, certain letters got cut off. So refer to the cover sheet and it'll like tell you what was dot what. Okay, so I've already glued one down, just so you can see what it looks like glued down. And then I'm gonna glue this piece down. And what I do recommend a glue stick. I mean, there's the white glue, the Elmer's white glue. I just find this is easier. It's faster, it comes out smoother. I do find the white glue can leave bumps. So, and do not hot glue this. Oh my God, that would be such a mess. Yeah, so just like your average stick type glue. And this is what I do. You don't have to do it this way. It is only what I do. I just find it comes out smoother this way. So I go around the edges with the glue first and try to get as close to the edge as you can. Try to get the corners. If you can't, you can fix that later. And then I just do long streaks across it. This will just help it stick down better, that's all. And like if you do see like clumps there, just smooth them out. And then what I do is I try to line them up as close as possible just to, you know, not waste paper. I tend to use Bristol board for a lot of draft at home stuff. So, and then just smooth it down with your hand. Hopefully you can still see that. Smooth it down. And, you know, this corner didn't get glue, so I'm just gonna fix that. Sometimes the corners just don't make it. And even after you cut out the Bristol board around it, you're probably still going to have to add a little bit of glue. And then even you can put like, you know, little bits of tape here and there to just secure it. Okay, so what I also would suggest is, now that you've glued it down, let that glue dry for a few minutes. It doesn't take that long. This glue does dry very quickly. And then once the glue has dried for a bit, then we're going to cut out the two pieces. You're going to have two pieces in the end, okay? Okay, so at this point you should have your front and your back templates done. And from the Foundations Drafting with Instructions booklet, which hopefully you have purchased at this point, you should have from this book done your measurements at this point. So now that you have your templates cut out and your measurements done, we're now going to be putting the dots, poking the holes into the dots. There's also, if you're going to do it for children, there is also a section here for children, also in the instructions. I do suggest you use an awl or something very sharp that is going to poke a good hole through there, because what's going to happen is you're going to need to be able to get your pencil through that to put your dots in order to do pattern pieces or your pattern block, because afterwards you're going to do like a join the dot thing. So with your measurements, you're going to, you know, poke holes for bust measurement, shoulder measurement, neck measurement, and sleeve measurement. Also armhole measurement. So what you're gonna, and another thing I suggest you have, again, as I mentioned, is I have a small cutting board I'm gonna use. Use something underneath it that's not gonna damage your table, because you are gonna be poking pretty hard with this to get through the Bristol board for the measurements. So for instance here, this is the bust measurement. And for the bust measurement, I am with a bra on. Now normally I'm a 42, but when I did it in the measurements with the bra, it did come out as 44, and I have done a toile again, this is another thing I suggest we do 2 twirls. One for the pattern blocks once it's done, and then one for the garment you're going to do. And when I did the pattern block using the measurements from here, it ended up being perfect. So I'm going to stick with 44 bust for this. So you're going to poke a hole, where are we? 44, and make that hole big enough that, like I said, a pencil can go through that. So a pencil can go through that easily. And then, so for me, my shoulder measurement came out to be the 6. So I'm going to go ahead and poke a hole through that. And then, where are we here? My neck measurement came out to be a 14, which, funny enough, is right on the corner there. So that's the measurements for this one. And then we're going to do the measurements on the back for the back piece of your template. And I know some of it seems a bit repetitive, but we are going to do the bust measurement again. Because it does come into play when you're making patterns for yourself. Bust does go all the way around your trunk. For the, where are we here? The sleeve measurements, I ended up with, where are we here? Sleeve armhole measurement, I ended up with a 17. Over here, we need to do the shoulder measurement again. So for me, I was a 6. Careful you don't poke your fingers when you're doing that. This, I have done that before, and trust me, it's not fun. And neck measurements. So again, the neck measurement for me was a 14. So I believe that is all the measurements.